This is Off Track.
So, you know the whole genre of talking to race car drivers while they eat has already been covered.
When?
But that's a show called Dinner with Racers where
This is snacks with dudes.
we're snacking with successful racers.
Hello. I'm supporting Once Upon a Time Alex Rossi supporter Jimmy John's with my
supporting
selection.
The sun.
Oh, right. Obviously, that's what I'm referencing.
So, for those that
You
don't
mean
know,
this one?
is it still
there
work?
it is.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, when Alex won the Indy 500 and the press conference afterwards, he was eating a Jimmy John's sandwich, and they thought that was pretty awesome. So, I don't know, Alex, you want to tell the rest of the story?
No.
Okay. Well, I think our friend Greg at Andretti, did he reach out and was like, hey, can we set up some partnership or something? No?
No idea.
This is why I asked you to do the story. Anyways, it ended with Alex getting a card that just lets him get free Jimmy John's. It's got a black card.
Yeah. It's like an unlimited gift card. I got to be honest, man. We took advantage of that thing a couple times. We had
For
some
a while.
hefty orders. For
I
those
think
of
it
you
catered
who
my daughter's class one day. Like,
catered my wedding. I think I don't know. You know, I think we pick up new listeners every once in a while. So those that haven't been listening from the very beginning might not know about the concept of Brunner, which was
My
when
golden doodle?
no, not the concept of your golden doodle, the concept of your golden doodle's name, which
Yeah.
came from when on an off weekend we had brunch, which turned into lunch, which turned into dinner, and we just called it Brunner. Jimmy and John both played a big part in those days.
And then there was it Big Lugs or where was it that you got free wings from for a while? Because we also abused that.
Big Lugs. Yeah.
Don't
Yeah, I think
offer free stuff to Alex because James and I will take advantage of it.
especially food
That's
related
just-
stuff.
Actually, I take
Yeah.
that back. You should offer free stuff to Alex.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we're going to go to Cracker Barrel for our off track AGM pretty soon here.
The problem with the Jimmy John's card is there wasn't very many of them. And so when you would try and use it like in store, they would be very confused.
Yes, that is true.
Because they were like, oh, is this a gift card? And I was like, no.
Ish, but no.
But it's funny because like I don't know if they clued into us or whatever, or just people that they handed said card out to. But there was a limit. And if you went over that limit, you had to call like a number and have them reload the card. And so it got a little awkward because I think it was like, I don't remember if the limit was $200.
I thought it was like
or
$200.
$500 or whatever. $200 at Jimmy John's is a significant amount of sandwiches.
It's a lot of sandwiches and cookies.
And it was really tough when like I'd reload it and then I don't know, a week later it'd be like, hey,
The next day,
I'm out. Yeah.
So Saturday was
Hit me
pretty
up with
lit,
another-
and
Yeah, hit me up with another couple hundy, please.
I need a deposit into the bank of Jimmy John's. Good times, guys. Good times. So yeah, if you're listening and you want to offer us free food, acquiring cards or apparati, we're in. We're all in. Tim, you look really young. It's like you shaved and got a haircut.
No, I just showered. I just shaved and showered, so my hair's still wet. So I just got home last night, and like today is the do laundry and kind of get everything back in order.
Clean your
You
clothes,
just got home minutes
Including
ago.
your face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shave it off. Shave off the little bit of growth. I didn't fly with my razor.
Speaking of grooming,
Okay.
there was a pretty fun little scenario that presented itself to me, Kelly,
Ben
and
shaving
Tim.
already?
No. Tim texts me at like, I don't know, 2:00 on a Saturday, being like, hey, who's your dog groomer?
Teddy
And
had been in the dirt, you know.
And I swiftly responded with, well, doggy style. To which he responded with, when I type that in the internet, other things populate.
Like what?
I wasn't upset with the results.
Right.
It was just not
I don't get
solving the current problem.
Right.
What results came up? What else is named
Yeah,
that?
Google it. You should Google it.
Could you like in detail tell us what came
A
up?
lot of links that apparently you can't open in the state of Indiana.
Oh,
Interesting. And so I was like, okay, yeah, that's my bad. She might not have a website yet, or is on page 17 of the doggy style Google query. And so I just gave Tim her number, and what a star. Not only got Tim in on a Sunday, responded with,
yeah, at first I texted
is
and said,
this
hey,
Tim from Off Track? If so, no.
yeah, just straight up, is this Tim from Off Track? If it is, yeah, then no. And she was great. She made it work. I thought I was going to book it for Monday. She was like, I'm actually available Sunday. It was great. She came over. She cleaned Teddy. He looks great. Everything was awesome. And she made fun of me.
Can we shout out the company again? Just to give her a little bit of love for hating on
doggy style.
Terrific. Wow, that's actually a fairly interesting way to market your business.
It's pretty good though when you think about it.
Well, good and bad. It could get lost in some other, like, you got to do some really good SEO, to make sure that's
to beat out
Googleable.
some heavy hitters.
I had to be careful on the Venmo, like, what is it for? I didn't want to put doggy style. I was like, just dog grooming.
Why not, Tim?
I don't know. Who's that college quarterback that got in trouble for his Venmo notes?
Boy, I'm glad that wasn't a thing when James, Marissa, myself all used to Venmo each other, because
I thought of that exactly. We used to put the dumbest stuff in the Venmo notes.
Doesn't that stuff just stay in your history though?
Body disposal was one of them we used frequently.
Yeah. I remember my brother was like, does Alex not realize that these are all public? Because you would have.
Can we also just talk about how
that's
it's a terrible idea that everybody's stuff is just public?
What's a terrible idea is you can't send a Venmo transaction without a caption.
Well, you can send it private though, but
no,
all of my Venmo
you have to fill out the memo.
I know you still have to do a memo,
but that's stupid.
At least you can have it private.
So I'm going through
some of mine. Are you looking through your old one?
Yeah. Well, I just found one that I sent to Kelly for a not insignificant amount of money that says, quote, "A good time in Mexico." Oh, and then Kelly sent me some money that said,
oh Lord,
it said, "Please keep my brother out of jail." Heart emoji.
That's not even the bad ones.
No, it's not. I just laughed so hard at that one.
Alex, you paid me for annual friendship dues. I can't read most of these.
You sure can't.
Yeah, that's the only one I can read.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. What did you say for this one? That one I can't say. Oh, what did he say for this one?
You can't say any of them. Like,
let's actually talk about this then, because it was a college football guy who had Venmo comments, and it was like sports betting or like betting on this specific team, and his response is, those were like Venmo caption jokes amongst my friends. We weren't actually betting; those were just like the joke captions, which like feels pretty believable to me, considering everybody I know on Venmo.
No, because what we joke about is like, I don't know, homicide and weapons. And he was betting about like, oh, Homeboy is going to have 2.5+ touchdowns. Like, that's not funny. Like, that's
okay,
not,
I didn't go into the specifics of it, but I just thought it just reminded me of like when Tom Brady was getting investigated for the Deflategate stuff, and the NFL's like, "Give me your cell phones," and he's like, "I destroyed them with a hammer." And everyone's like, "Man, that's super incriminating." And I was like, "No, that just tells me that he's in group chats. Like, you would need a warrant to get into the group chats that I have with just you guys."
Oh God.
Well, also put a little bit of context into that based on everything that went down with him and Giselle. I don't think it was necessarily group text.
Interesting.
I understood
individual text.
We're going
not
off track.
Usually a Tom Brady defender here, but I understood that move.
Okay, so off weekend, Alex, How did you spend it?
Not on a yacht.
Well, let me just preface this by saying you should try that. It's great. How did you spend it? We went to a little sporting event in town.
I did not. I did our fantasy football draft, which you missed.
I did.
And then I hung out for basically 2 days with Kelly and Ben, with a little bit of Tim thrown in there. We did 2 different escape rooms. Did you get out of both? We did. We accidentally booked the same one that we had already
done years ago.
And then we moved into a different room that we thought we hadn't done, and we had also done that one.
Yeah,
but
you guys
felt
have done
too bad at that point.
Well, it was like it started off where you get blindfolded and you go in and it's like pitch black in there. And we're all kind of like, this feels familiar. But it was like Kidnapping 2. So it's like, maybe this is just how Kidnapping 1 also started. And then we're like feeling our way around a dark room. And it's like, oh yeah, okay, I remember this is here and that's over there. And like, yeah, we need to switch real quick. And so it turns out we've done every room at that location.
So this is
now just every room in Indianapolis.
Now we've done one of them twice.
Wouldn't it be embarrassing if you didn't get out of it the second time?
It was 6 years ago. We like went through and saw the pictures, so I didn't remember a single thing from it.
You just said, "Oh, I remember this is over here and this is over there."
I remember the first one, the one we switched into, was 6 years.
Oh, got it. Oh, okay. So if you didn't remember,
it felt fresh enough.
This is why you just need to move to these virtual escape rooms, because you could just load up a new one.
Yeah, but we tried that and it wasn't that fun.
No, I know, but they got to get better. There's got to be a better way to do it. It was like the VR concept. It just opens up so many possibilities of.
What do you use your VR headphones for, Tim?
I don't use them anymore. They just sit there.
Everybody I know that bought an Oculus is like, yeah, I don't use it anymore. It was novel for like 2 months and then no one cares anymore.
Correct. I used it once.
Technology's not going. So I thought you went to the sporting event that was in Indy on Friday. Did you?
Are we not talking about LIV? Do we not like LIV?
I think that is what he's talking about.
Why is he not saying it? I mean, it's a Fox property.
No, I wasn't trying to avoid the name.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't go to LIV, mostly because it was very hot in Indianapolis this weekend. And it seemed to be incredibly well attended, which, wow, that's great for LIV, not great for Alex.
Lots of people.
I decided that I didn't want to be with 50,000 people in a very hot day for the first event that they've hosted. So I watched it on TV, and I had a great time watching it on TV. I do know from the people that went that it was a great experience. Nothing but positive feedback. It seems like they certainly know how to entertain. Watching it on TV, it's fun to watch. You know, you think of golf and you think of the PGA and everything as being very, proper and uptight and stuffy, right? LIV kind of throws all of that out the window. There's music.
It's
on
like the bar stool of it's.
Yeah, but it's still like some of the best golfers in the world.
Yeah.
And it's like, unlike those that watched Happy Gilmore and the kind of how they made fun of Max Fly, which was the alternate league to what Happy Gilmore played in, LIV plays by all the same rules. It's just a little bit more upbeat and trending for a younger audience. Anyways, everyone said it was awesome. One thing that I heard about, which I think is sick, and IndyCar should take note, is so it's a 3-day event, right? Much like
not too dissimilar from
our races, and there's merchandise tents, not too dissimilar from our races either. But what LIV did was every day they completely did a 180 on the merch tent. So it was all different merch from what they had the previous day. So you had people in there and stuff that they had bought the day before spending money again because that stuff wasn't available. So I think it's a great idea for IndyCar, for the NBA. Well, that's not 3-day events. Anyways, for any sporting event that's 3 days to not have all of your stuff out all the time.
Yeah.
Because then people are just going to choose the one thing they like the most instead of being like, oh, I didn't know this was going to be here today. I guess I have to get my wallet out again. So
You got your event T-shirt, but then there's your Saturday event T-shirt and your Sunday event T-shirt, and
or your event hoodie
actually
that is only available on Saturdays. So
yeah. No, it's pretty clever. Get them back into the store multiple times.
Exactly.
Annoying for the customer, but probably a smart move.
Yeah. What did you do, James? Besides,
I went on
sitting on a yacht?
vacation. Well, that was it. I don't know what else. What else do you need to do?
It looks as though you either got a lot of sun or you got blonde tips, or maybe it's just the light.
I think it's the light. Tips are still brown. Definitely got a little tan, which for me is hard to do. And like this is tan for me. That's what's so pathetic.
Yeah.
But no, great time down in the Bahamas with some good friends. Tons of time in the water because it's the best water. I love it down there. It's so beautiful. Some great meals, some good laughs. Yeah, man, it was wonderful. I love it down there so much. I try to get down there when it's a
break because you had been on quite a stretch since May, I must say.
That is true. Yeah. It was a welcome disconnect, and like you just leave your phone for the day kind of thing, and you check it once in the morning, check it once a night, and kind of get through the rest. And what a nice disconnect and recharge, and now ready to go because I'm pretty sure my next weekend off is Halloween, so that's cool. But yeah, no, back and excited to get into Milwaukee. Before we chat Milwaukee though, we did say that last week we were going to talk a little bit about Palou because we didn't really get into his greatness. I know it's Alex's favorite subject at the moment.
I don't mind it.
What a season.
Our asses kicked. Yeah.
What a season. Is it like, are you guys like talking amongst each other, amongst yourselves about it in a way where it's like at the end of a race, you'll go like, or like driver intros, you'll see Colton or you'll see, I don't know, Dixon or someone just be like, man, what is happening? How is this happening still?
Not really. I think everyone has an immense amount of respect and appreciation for it. I would say talking to him is more annoying because for him, it's kind of just everything. He doesn't seem surprised by it. Not saying that he's cocky about it, but he's just like, oh yeah, we had a good weekend and the car was good and the strategy was good and it was just pretty straightforward. And like, that's every weekend you talk to him sort of thing. So I think that's kind of tough, to come to terms with. But I think the realization that I have had is he has differentiated himself so much that if you're able to kind of reverse engineer and understand his excellence, especially in 2025, and you're able to like apply just a little bit of that to yourself and to your own operation and the things that you're doing, you're going to elevate yourself in a pretty large way, right? Because he's, let's say, 30% clear of the field, right? And then everyone else is within a couple.
That sounds like a big margin. I mean, no. I don't think it's more than that. I think 30% is large.
Okay. Eight races to 3 would say it's more than 30%. 8 races to 3 would say it's way more than 30%.
Copy. Oh, yeah. Almost. All right. I see what you're saying.
Okay. 10%.
It's significant. Yeah.
10%, whatever.
But the rest of the field is within 3%.
The rest of the field is within a couple percent, right?
Yeah.
So if you're able to find, let's say it's 10%, you're able to find half of what he has, you're going to make a very big impact on your standings at the end of the year. So I think in some ways it's a little bit of a relief because it's not like there's 6 guys doing that, right? It's one individual. So it gives you a little bit of like motivation of like, if I can figure this out before the next guy, like we're in with a pretty good shot of things. So that's the way I look at it. But yeah, I mean, you can't say anything negative about him because not only we say this a lot, he's Scott 2.0 in the sense that he does everything that Scott does and executes it to such a high level, regardless of where he starts on the grid. But at the same time, he's one of the nicest human beings you're going to come across in the paddock. And so it's just like, you can't root against him. Like when he wins all the time, you're like, good for him.
Yeah.
You're not
upset about it. No. Great family man, lovely wife, lovely child. You know, he's a great dad. He's a great husband. He's great to just chat to, catch a meal with, whatever. He's just awesome. And he's good at everything. So it's in every way. He's Dixon 2.0. So as someone like knowing you, how I know you, and knowing how you work and how you go about racing, right? You're seeing this guy doing all these things, and you have this belief, this theory, this understanding that if you can even just find that couple of percent towards what he's getting, that's going to put you above the rest of the field too. What are you seeing? Like, what's the one thing that you think he does better than anybody else? Because I know that we talk about how there's no kind of flaws in his game right now, but is there one element that is that much more than something else? Or is it just that 0.5% in 20 different things that gives him this 10% jump on the field?
I don't have an answer to that, because like I can't see everything that he does. I'm kind of with you, right? I can just see on the outside kind of the execution that he has. And we've all talked about his tire management and his pace, especially on the harder tire, right? But I sat with Felix in an autograph session once. I was Mid-Ohio. And I was like, what's it like to look at his data? Like, is there anything that's like, oh my God, that's the best brake shape I've ever seen, or that's the smoothest steering I've ever seen? And he's like, no. All of the fundamental technique is very good, as you would expect, but it's not unattainable. Like, it's not like he sees a brake shape and he's like, I could never replicate that. He said it is the most infuriating thing, and I believe him. Like Mid-Ohio, a pretty technical track with a vast variety of corners, right? You've got high speed, slow speed, braking zones, transitions, elevation, combined, all of it. And he said, dude, I am just, the time delta is just a straight diagonal. So I'm not faster than him I'm not faster than a single corner. And it's not that I'm far off. I'm a couple hundreds off.
Yeah. And he's not taking big chunks.
Maybe even, maybe a tenth, whatever. But I'm not miles away. But he said, I'm not beating him in a single corner. And he's like, I've never had in my entire career a teammate that is able to do that to me. And Felix, we all know, his single lap pace is exceptional. And he said, just the majority of the time, it's just everywhere. So it's not, he's able just to extract that little bit more at all times that everyone else can't do. And he said, what's also impressive is, like, you would think someone with that, you look at him and he's quite soft-spoken, and you know that he's very precise. Townsend talks about it all the time. He's the surgeon, right? Like he uses every inch of track, and he's not often making mistakes. But you would kind of equate that to someone who maybe is not that good in the high speed, right? Or the super high commitment, or that sort of thing. And Felix was like, that's the other thing. Like, he has massive too. So he also shifts it in the high speed, and like, I don't really beat him there either. It's like, cool.
Sick. That's so funny. It's like, if you look at a speed trace, right? Goes up and down. For those, it kind of like zigzags up and down.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no big separations. It's just, his is just above your line the whole way. It's just barely above it, but it's just like traced just above it. Oh, dude.
You can't even look at, like, okay, if I just focus on this section, like, I'll be as good as
Yes. I got to brake later in this corner and carry a bit more speed here, and I got it. It's like, nope, you got to do everything exactly how you're doing it, just 0.5% better at all times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. That's a tough situation to be in. That's a tough situation to be in. But, like, for the first time in this point system, to have a championship locked up with 2 full weekends to go, I think we already mentioned this one, I think 4 races to go, he had already scored, I think it was within 8 points of what total points he scored to win the championship last year, and had already scored more than what second place in the championship got, with 4 rounds still to go. It's 8 races on the season. We've got 2 left. He could tie AJ and Unser for most wins in a season, because he's won on short ovals. Do I think that's going to happen? I don't know. I think it's gonna be very hard to win the next 2 for anybody. Those races are so tough to predict, and there's a lot of guys that are very exceptional at those types of tracks. When you look at the places where he's super dominant, road courses are the bread and butter. Obviously, he's pulled out some good results on street circuits as well. But yeah, those ones I think are going to be interesting. But credit where credit's due, man. I think we're watching, we're watching greatness. We're watching history be made. I went on a fellow podcast, the Red Flags podcast last week, and the guys asked me, they're like, do you think he could cut it in F1? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. They're like, how do you think he would do? So I said, well, against who? Like, give me a car to put him in. And they said, okay, so what if you put him in the Carlos Sainz Williams beside Alex Albon? How do you think he'd do? And my point was, I was like, well, I think they'd be good teammates because Albon's a very technical, detail oriented guy. I know Palou's the same way. Like, he really loves diving into the data deep and whatever. So I was like, year one, he learns the tires and the tracks. Year two, he beats Albon more often than not. This got picked up by motorsport.com, some news outlet, and the internet has opinions, has thoughts, but I would love to know your take. Right? Especially the F1 group. They're a strongly opinioned fan base. But what do you think? If you put him in a Williams, what do you think he'd stack up?
Yeah, that's a weird comparison because I think Albon's good, but I don't think he's exceptional. When you look at some of the guys that you could have chosen to put him up against. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The Pirelli tire is incredibly unique. However, it would suit his driving style almost immediately. So then the big thing would be learning the tracks, to which he would only know a couple, and a completely different way of approaching a race weekend, which he would figure out because he's a smart person, but it's a complete 180 to anything IndyCar is. So yeah, I agree completely with the sentiment that the first year he would have some flashes where he was brilliant, and the second year he would dispose of them pretty quickly. I think that's a different conversation when you put him up against Charles. It's a different conversation when you put him up against George, Max, the elites in F1, because while we know what he's doing here is kind of unheard of, I think it's unfair to say that if you put a Charles, a Lewis, a Max, a George in a 10 car at Ganassi and give them a couple years, that they wouldn't be doing a similar thing. I think there's drivers that are just on a different level, and I think Alex is one of those. But I do think there's a couple of those in F1 as well. So I wouldn't say he's going to go over there and be a world champion, but I definitely think against your Albons, your Gaslys, your whatevers, he would have the upper hand.
The other thing that you see a lot of in those comments, whenever you talk about guys going IndyCar F1 or whatever, and one of the things that a lot of people focus on is like, oh, well, he was in Europe and he was in the junior categories and he wasn't good enough, so he had to leave. And it's just like, I know that these are just people on the internet who don't know what they're talking about, but it's like, let us try to explain to you why that doesn't actually translate the way you think it does. The teams in the junior categories are very different. There's good teams, there's bad teams. There are drivers that were pretty average in the junior categories that are doing very well at the high level. There are drivers that were exceptional in the junior categories and are bang average at the top. And so that does not tell the whole story. It's like Tom Brady was drafted 199th. He ended up being pretty good at football. I take a lot of issue when people are like, oh, well, yeah, he was no good in F3 and he couldn't even podium in F2. It's like, that's just not the whole story, guys. And we make these assessments knowing a little bit about motorsports, knowing a little bit about driving race cars, looking at what it is he's doing exceptionally well in IndyCar, and knowing kind of what skill sets translate and translate to performance in F1. And there's a reason that we are saying this. This is not just like us, bigging up our boy because we're IndyCar guys. I genuinely think he would be very, very good for all those reasons that we just said. Anyway, I do digress.
Good job to him. Good job to Ganassi. I think just to close that out, you talk about what he did compared to even himself last year. I think that's a testament to the organization. Because I would find it hard to believe that he himself as a driver improved that much in an off season. But I think Ganassi, clearly found a more complete package that allowed them to be successful at a wider variety of places, and they delivered more often than not. So huge credit to all the men and women there. Last week, we also cut short a topic that we need to talk about, and that is of old Will Power.
Willie P.
And kind of the situation that he finds himself in. You know, I gave my quick thoughts on it at the end of last week's episode. If you haven't heard that, go check it out. But James, I'd be very interested to hear A, what your thoughts are, B, how they got into this situation, they being Penske, and C, what the best roadmap out of it for both Will and Penske would be.
Great series of questions, my friend. So I think my opinion is very, very similar to yours. I have, and you know, I am as surprised as everybody that Penske's in this position. Will is still performing at a very high level and is now the only Penske driver to have won a race this year. Now, that's not all on those guys. That's not a shot at Joseph or Scott. That is just a fact. He's the highest guy in the championship. Not a shot at the other two, just a fact. Everyone's had their fair share of bad luck across all three. Like that as a team, they've got more DNFs than anybody. I think Joseph and Scott both have 5 apiece, which is insane. When we talk about, you know, laps completed being one of the big indicators of championship success, I think Will's got 3, something like that. But then you look at a race like Portland, right? Qualified very well, did the strategy just right, executed what he needed to during the cycles, and then under immense pressure in the back half of the race, the last 20 laps, dealing with lap traffic, dealing with cars behind, it didn't put a foot wrong. So, you know, he has proven without a doubt, in my mind, that he is still incredibly capable. And this is not a shot at Malukas at all, but it's like if the thought was, you know, he was the next guy and he was going to be better than Will, I don't think we've seen a performance out of him that makes you think he's going to be better. David's got a lot of talent. David's got a long future in the sport. He's got a lot of potential. Whether it's the environment there at Foyt, the car, the whatever, he hasn't shown, you know, he's had a couple of strong races this year, but he hasn't had the kind of consistent pace and performance that you would look at and be like, oh, we should put this guy in a Penske car tomorrow. Again, not to say he doesn't deserve to be there at some point, but when you're comparing up against one of the most successful drivers in the history of the sport, it's a tough one to sort of reconcile in your head. Why are we here? Dude, your guess is as good as mine. It's kind of sounds like there was some maybe deal done with David before like the season even started, maybe at some point last year, like who knows. There's going to be so much speculation on that side of things. And hopefully one day, you know, Will writes a book or something and it all comes out, but it is a peculiar one. You know, a lot of rumors that this was somehow a Tim Cindric initiated thing and that certain people don't necessarily want to keep it going with Tim no longer, you know, part of the program. That's pure speculation. I have no idea if that's true or not. That's just something I've heard kicking around the paddock. And then in terms of how do we get out of here? Where do we go from here for both? I don't know. I mean, if you believe the rumors, like nothing's obviously been confirmed. Will has said publicly that, you know, he's been told that he's not hearing anything official until after Nashville, which is nuts. Because that gives him no time to go find another ride, right? Like that's one of the hardest things. Most of these IndyCar contracts have a date by which you can't start talking to other teams, right? But that's usually like June 1st. So like you get through May and then you can kind of start, especially with the season as short as it is now. So to have a guy on the hook until September after the season's done is a very bizarre move. And I don't think is showing Will the respect that he deserves. But you know, maybe it's a ploy too, because they know he's good. This deal is going through whether they want it to or not. They don't actually want him in a good car because that's one more guy they got to beat next year. I don't know if there is a way out of this for Penske because, you know, as I've always said, you don't hide good news, right? You don't hold back good news. And because they're waiting so long to say anything, my gut feeling is that it's done. And so their bet is made as far as Penske goes. The bigger question is then, where's Will go? What does Will do at this point? I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I have a few thoughts, none of which can be shared on the podcast, but I think it's a really strange situation because I mentioned this on last week's episode. Any other driver that has won, well, if we were looking at 2024, right? Any other driver that had won 3 races and was the only driver in contention to win the championship going into the final race, even though it was a long shot, but mathematically possible, would have had a deal done or at least some sort of idea of what that deal was going to look like. And he didn't have either of those things. So that's that for me is, I can't quite wrap my head around it. It's very, very strange. And if I'm Will, and again, we're on the speculation train, but after all of this, and maybe it's not speculation because there's been a couple quotes that he's had where it's like, who says the decision isn't up to me? Let's say that the powers that be at Penske Racing, Team Penske, Penske Corp, whatever, decide, all right, we resolved whatever situation we got ourselves into. Come on back. If you're a driver, let's just take this example out of it. You're any sports person for any team in any league, and you've been kind of strung along for that period of time and been forced to kind of perform under that undue pressure and have to tolerate all of the questions in the media and all of the presumptions that go along with that. Would you really want to just walk back into that door? I don't know. Maybe because at the end of the day, that is the most successful team on the grid, and he knows he has his best shot to be competitive and successful there. So maybe, and you swallow your pride sort of situation and you take what they give you. But at what point do you not do that? And I don't know.
You could argue that there's been a level of disrespect now that you would just out of bitterness not want, because it's like you weren't wanted, you weren't good enough.
Right. That's my point.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so but so I think he's in a unique situation because Will's got nothing to prove to anybody. Right. He's in the top 5 all-time wins. He is the top all-time qualifier. He's got a 502 championships. Will Power could retire tomorrow and it's a Hall of Fame career, and no one looks at Will Power's career with what if, So he kind of has the freedom to tell a team of that caliber, if he feels he's been mistreated, to pound sand. And if he just loves going IndyCar racing, yes, he might be accepting that he's not going to have the same opportunity to win as much. But at the same time, that's what's cool about IndyCar racing is everybody can win most years. Thanks, Palou. But
minus 25, but yeah.
Minus 25. This outlier, this doesn't count.
Yeah.
But so he kind of does have that power, which I think is awesome. And I mean, I would love nothing more than to hear, years down the road, he's like, and on September 4th, they called me and said, all right, let's do it. And he's just like, no, absolutely not. You guys, I have no interest in working with this group anymore. It'd be such a cool story. So yeah, man. Okay. So let's say for whatever reason, he's not at Penske, whether it's his choice, it's their choice, whatever. Because again, I don't know if you kind of picked, I don't know if you probably didn't watch the race from Portland, but his interview, his victory lane interview,
had a great career.
Yeah, and like it was nice. It was so nice working with all the people. Like it sounded very past tense-esque.
Yes.
So again, I don't think they had good news. I don't think he's going back. In my opinion. Where's he go? If you're Will Power and Penske's not an option, where do you want to end up?
Well, I mean, Dixon's going to Coyne. He could take his seat.
Great point.
Well,
he could preempt
James,
Dixon going to Coyne.
It's a pretty easy answer. You want to end up at Ganassi or Andretti.
Okay. What are the realistic prospects of those things happening?
This is motorsports, dude. 100%, 80%. I mean, realistic? I don't know, but like, could it happen? Absolutely. Like,
yeah, anything's possible, I suppose. I mean, I'd throw McLaren in there as well, obviously.
I think that one's harder.
Why do you think that one's harder?
Well, obviously I can't talk about it. I can't.
Because there's one car that's not performing at the level of the other two, right? There may be some other elements that are involved there. Fine. I know that MSR was one of the teams that was talked about a lot, but it was just announced that Armstrong's going back. Congrats to Marcus and MSR. Good job. They'll be back together in 26. Rahal kind of seems to be the lead candidate in terms of, possibilities. No one really knows the details of Dev's deal. Man, for all we know, Graham's kind of threatened to retire a couple times already. Mm-hmm. Okay, how about this possibility? Is if Malukas is going to Penske, there's an open seat at Foyt. He's a big GM guy. He's raced, with Chevy for a long time. There's still, maybe that technical partnership continues, and that's kind of like the parting gift to Will is, hey, you go into the Foyt car. We continue supporting it from an engineering standpoint. maybe that's a possibility. I don't know if it's what he would want, but
that I think is the most logical solution. But I don't think the sequence of events that are going to unfold in the next 2 months are going to be logical. That's just my guess.
Yeah.
If only there was a name to show that it's like illogical. I guess like it was silly, like a silly period of time.
Almost like an entire season of the sport that was dedicated to the silliness of driver.
I think we're good. I think silly period of time has a ring to it, and I think that's what people are going to use. I don't think we need to keep going.
That sounds a little too simplified, but like silly period of time involving driver movement is probably a little more, just so that we know what we're talking about.
Just so it's more, yeah. Okay, I get that. That makes sense.
Yeah, silly period of time could just be like at the zoo.
That's true. That's true.
Whatever. Yeah. Well, that's great.
The zoo would be
Alex,
silly.
Did you know that you have a phenomenal finishing record at Milwaukee?
100%.
Are you super excited about going to Milwaukee?
I am. That was one of those tracks where I was told by you, by old man Hunter Ray, by a lot of people that like, man, I wish you were around when we raced in Milwaukee. And then it came back and I went to the test there in like June of last year. And I was like, these guys are probably full of and it takes a lot. As we know, it takes quite a bit to impress me. And I did my first run. I was like, hell yeah, this place is bitching. And it raced. Not only is it awesome to drive, like it's awesome to do a Q qualifying lap there. It raced excellent last year, both races, which is a little bit of a rarity on double headers because usually, you know, a lot of improvements are made to the cars between race 1 and race 2, and people are kind of more dialed in, so there's less separation. But because there was so much tire drag, and there is 2 lanes that open up, there's 3 at times, it made for an awesome race, which probably means, you know, it'll be a different tire and we won't get the same thing. But here's hoping.
Don't do that. Don't ruin that for us. Are you bummed that it's only a single header now?
Yeah,
only a single race?
I'm super bummed. Yeah. Like what? Yeah.
Yeah.
If only there was another doubleheader we could have traded it for. Anyways, the fan turnout, the fairgrounds, like I loved last year how outside the grandstands, like all the concessions that are usually a part of the state fair were open, and it just made it a really cool and nice environment to be a part of. And all the fans that asked for so many years to go back to Milwaukee showed up. They were treated to 2 awesome races. It seems as though, from what I've heard, ticket sales are eclipsing that of last year. So yeah, I mean, it should be another fantastic weekend and super pumped for it.
I don't like this positivity. You guys be negative about something?
I already threw my negative thing in there.
Yeah, Tim, you're still here. Anyway,
there it is.
You know, there was a call to action. I was like, hey, don't complain about Milwaukee not being on the schedule and then don't show up. You guys showed up. We had fans that bought tickets and didn't even show up just to support the race. Again, shout out. Appreciate that. I believe she's actually coming this year, which is great. And the fans, you guys drank Milwaukee out of beer, which was impressive. Like the grounds ran out of alcohol, which is so Wisconsin. And I absolutely love that. So I'm super excited to get back. Great place to have, you know, a race near the end of the season. And then, dude, we're 2 away. Like 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks away. I know.
You're on temporary leave. You're on 6 month. What's the word?
So
whatever.
dumb.
What's that word when you kind of get put on? You're on
paternity leave?
No. When you furlough,
like a professor.
you get furloughed.
Or no,
No,
but
I'm
what's
talking
the professor when you're trying to get
tenure.
granted tenure?
No, it's
No. I'm talking about furloughed, when you're not really employed, but you're not unemployed.
You're on a sabbatical.
Yeah. Sabbatical is a good one too.
Yeah.
Either way, you're going to have a lot of spare time on your hands. It's going to be, I can't believe this season's almost done. I can't believe we're August 19th and it's almost done.
5 episodes of Off Track a week during the off season.
Absolutely hate it.
I love it.
Like it's so dumb, but we can talk about that for the 7 months that we have to talk about it.
Let's do it. In the meantime, I'll see you in Milwaukee, pal. I hope you're able to continue your wonderful streak, and I think it's like your best finishing average track. So let's keep that going. This has been Off Track with Hinch and Rossi. Off Track is part of the SiriusXM Sports Podcast Network. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please give a 5-star rating and leave a review. Subscribe today wherever you stream your podcasts. We are at Ask Off Track on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Hinchtown and at Alexander Rossi. If you want to follow Tim, though we have no idea why you would, he's at the Tim Durham on Twitter. Find us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel for exclusive video content. Off Track is produced by Tim Durham, and by that we mean Tim.